In this week's podcast, we have Aaron Shu, founder and CEO of Blurp, and we have a really interesting conversation about the creator economy and the role of sound in the creator economy. Blurp is a company that provides a soundboard with integrations into Discord and Twitch. They've helped content creators raise hundreds of thousands of dollars or earn hundreds of thousands of dollars by use of their own sounds and live streams. And basically, it's an interaction tool that allows audience members to be part of a live stream by paying for the use of sounds to go directly into a live stream on Twitch. It's a great way for live streamers to earn money. There's a lot of opportunity here. Let's jump into this week's episode of the LA Business Podcast. Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, your destination to hear stories of how businesses grow and scale. I'm Robert Brill, CEO of Brill Media and the host of this podcast. Now, let's jump right into this week's interview. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the LA Business Podcast. Today our guest is Aaron Shu, founder and CEO of Blurp. And Blurp has grown to over 30,000 creators on Twitch and helped them generate over $500,000 in donations through integrations. Aaron, let's start here and say, for everyone listening, describe what Blurp is and tell us a little bit about how you came to create this business.
Yes. So thanks for your intro, by the way. Blurp is an audio platform for sharing sound bites, and we make it super easy for people to find, share, and create these short audio clips with the whole intent of, using sound to enhance a moment is what we've seen the power of what Blurp can do. And we started it. It's been about 4 years now. It was my second to last year of college where it began, and I guess back then we saw that, I couldn't even find my favorite audio clips on Google. So what was going to be the tool that would really let us play it right now? We saw a lot of people, specifically gamers, were trying to use YouTube videos back then. And what we saw was that's not the best way to do it. You have to scrape through the video. You have to find the right moment. And by then you miss the timeline and you miss the punchline. So that was where it began. But
Okay, so Aaron, so let me understand this. So you're like, okay, I see this need. I want to be able to find videos and audio. I want to find audio and be able to like just have the right sound at the right moment. Tell us about the technology that allows you to do this, right? Like it seems so obvious now to have a soundboard, like a meme soundboard. And I'm sure others have tried, but this looks so clean and neat. I've been playing with it. Before I go into your question, I just want to say I love the fact I'm such a big fan of Vine. I thought Vine was the best thing since sliced bread. I love that you have some of the Vine sounds like the fresh avocado, which is amazing. But tell us about the technology that allows you to make this happen seamlessly.
Yeah, so the thing with sound, at least what we saw, was the content needed to be there. Oh, did I lose you? Or are you still there?
No, I just made you bigger. I'm giving you.
Okay, perfect. I just
the show is yours, Aaron.
Restream's so new to me, but yeah. So what we found was the content was what people resonated with. So with sound, really finding the type of content that resonates with you or the community was something that we had to really start to solve. So building this platform, aggregating it all in one place where people could really find it was the first step. And we started out similar to Giphy, where we aggregate all this content from the web. The more we played around with it and the more our users kept using us, we found that the more powerful content was what people would create. So their own sound bites or sound bites that they really related to from their TV shows. So we started building tools for people to really start to find this content. And then the thing that we saw missing in the space was there were old sites back then. I don't know if you even remember, like eBalm's World, soundboard.com, for instance. So those sites were there, and they had some good content, but they weren't plugging it into places where people could really enhance the moment in time. And that's where we found that Blurp works best if we're plugged into these places. Like today, we're integrated with Twitch and Discord. And what we found is that if we're integrated in these places, people could find a lot more utility for these sound bites. And that's how we started to really grow the value of the platform by doing that.
So did you have a particular use case in mind? Like, were you thinking about Twitch when you made this, or are you thinking about this for gamers, for like pop culture warriors? Like, tell us a little bit about, because soundboards are cool, but you like. I'm really interested in the monetization of this. Like, why did you think Twitch was the right place to go? I think it absolutely is. It makes a lot of sense. Just how did you come? How did you come to that?
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of luck involved with how we found Twitch. And yeah, when we first started this, we thought it was an app. We thought the keyboard was the biggest place, and we still do. We see like sound bites as a fun way to communicate. But the strongest need, and the reason how we found it was we built up this platform, and we're like, oh man, there's like all these cool use cases to play this content. And that's when actually Twitch streamers started reaching out to us. They were like, hey, how do I plug this into my stream? How do I use this content to create? And that's where we started to really see this huge need that creators on that platform really had with getting the soundbite to enhance their content. And that's where we started to build out this clear use case. And the thing that we like about Twitch is that not only does it help creators enhance their content, but we are able to start to even help them monetize that, which is a big pain point for any creator online right now, is that they want to make more money doing what they love. And our main integration on Twitch is that viewers can now pull any soundbite from our database and they can pay to play that soundbite. And when that soundbite's triggered, everyone on the live stream will see it. So it adds this new level of interaction that people haven't had before on their
Wait,
stream.
you're saying, so tell me about the payments again. How, tell me, just say that again. Like, how do people get paid on this? Because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so streamers plug our app into their stream, and then so even right now, say you had Blurp installed, someone watching gets pay $1 to clap after we said something cool, and we would all hear that clap, and that lets the streamer not only get more interaction out of it, but then they also make some money by letting their viewers be a part of that.
So that's interesting. So basically, instead of like, I'm trying to think of like a platform like what, sometimes when I watch Reddit, there's like a live stream on Reddit, and people give tokens or something. And so this is a way of basically awarding the streamer with some audio that everyone gets recognized, that everyone recognizes that there's some sort of kudos or applause. It could be an actual point of applause. I watch a lot of this is interesting because I watch a lot of YouTubers who are live streaming, just going about their day doing stuff like in Vegas or in Disney or whatever the case is, because like we're all stuck at home, but these people during a pandemic want to be at Disneyland. So I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And they live stream it, and every now and again, people get tips through either YouTube or PayPal or whatever the thing is. So this is almost like a way of giving people the tip, basically, right?
It's definitely tapping to that economy that we're seeing around us where people, yeah, are tipping these creators. They're able to support these creators doing what they love. And I don't know how much you know about the creator economy, but it's this whole new movement that anyone online is essentially able to build their careers. And that's based on this idea that their fans are willing to support them. And that's a huge reason that we're able to monetize, at least in the Twitch live streaming portion.
So how so do I would I need to download a Chrome extension to make this happen?
Right now, we're integrated in the Twitch App Store. So they have an app store for creators, and creators can just install this app, and this overlay appears on their live stream the minute they install it.
So I imagine one of the challenges you have is this to tap into the create the ability to share and give kudos in the creator economy requires integration. Like you can't like a YouTuber can't just do this. YouTube has to make it part of the ecosystem, right? So does that mean your roadmap is really focusing in on getting acceptance into these various platforms?
That's part of our acceptance, is building out these exclusive channels. And that's why we've been so excited with Twitch, how they're really pushing their store, how we've been able to really integrate with them. And most of these platforms do have an open API, which we can easily work with our API to integrate in. But yeah, building those exclusive channels and having the right people on board to do that has definitely been a strong priority of the roadmap.
So, I mean, when you look at, mass adoption here, or even on Twitch, an advertiser can. So, I run an advertising company, and Sounds like an advertiser can go in and create custom sounds, and if that sound is used, well, you the advert. I'm sure there's a way to like integrate advertising into this. Is that part of your model, or are you going to keep it completely organic, free of ads or marketing components?
I hate talking absolutes and like, will this be a model or will this not? With
Mhm.
ads, we do see a way for people to capture that engagement. As we own the places where people can share these sounds, we want to help not just any creator, but also brands reach these places where we're plugged in. But in the future, we do the bigger model that we see Blurp play into is this idea of continuing to generate money for these creators. So any creator can essentially create a soundboard, and we'll be plugged into every single place that gives that sound utility. And viewers can and fans can actually buy that sound bite to unlock it and share it in these places. And that's the place that we're really playing around with, because what we've seen is a lot of the sound bites today shared on these Twitch communities are of the streamer's own voice. And
Mhm.
you can imagine that a lot of the content they're created is just underutilized, at least in the sound space. And if we can add greater utility for their sound, we can essentially be the platform that helps people build that song branding and then monetize their voice, which is something we're more passionate about, I guess, as a company, especially where we've seen how sound bites are so monetizable. I mean, like ringtones were the first things we bought back then, and we see that there's just so much use that sound can really have for these people if we allow them to be plugged into the right places.
Right. It creates a totally new monetization channel. And you're right. Like there's so many like audio memes that could go a lot further. There's just no platform for that to exist. Now there is with Blurp. Tell us about your the growth of your company. How do you? I mean, are you primarily focused in on Twitch to grow your business? How do people find out about Blurp? Tell us about the growing element of your business.
Yeah, so the biggest way we convert people into Blurp users has been through live streaming and has been through creators. And that's probably the thing we started. It took us a while to get right. As in, when we first released the platform, I know I mentioned a bit where it was just a website. We had a mobile app, but we didn't quite know the pain or the target people that we were solving. And it wasn't until we started hitting streaming where, thousands of creators were starting to come on board. We had these organic channels really start to help us a lot more. And and yeah, so we see live streaming as that beachfront to help us build this bigger platform where sound bites can be plugged anywhere one day. We see this not just plugged into Twitch, we see it plugged into, Snapchat or Zoom calls. There's no reason why a Twitch streamer and our teacher shouldn't be using Blurp. And that's something I get excited about because it sounds so universal. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question quite.
Yeah. What's interesting, Aaron, is that like you started. So I'm looking at your LinkedIn. It looks like you started this in May of 2020. Is that? Oh, no, sorry, that's incorrect. You started it in 2016. You were the full time. So you started in 2016. Is that right?
I started in 2016, and we worked on it for part time for a little bit before actually jumping on it full time.
So June 2019 is when you started doing it full time.
That is true. Yep.
Sorry, I'm
No, yeah,
not
yeah,
trying to lawyer you here. I'm just
yeah. Yeah,
yes,
that's
sir.
correct, officer. Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like, how do you? What were some of the early like hypotheses that you had for the business that maybe didn't pan out? That's the part that's really interesting to me. Like in advertising, there's a lot of testing going on. When you start a business, there's a lot of testing going on. When I started my business, there were 4 different iterations of the business doing 4 very different types of work until I figured out, okay, this is the thing I'm going to do. So tell me about how you test. Tell me about the hypothesis that you had. Tell me about how quickly or non-quickly you like figured out, okay, I'm going to abandon this thing and I'm going to try this other pathway. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned a little bit about it before, but we started out with just the keyboard section and just the website. We wanted to really replace eBalm's world. My instance, like these soundboard sites that we've seen that are still getting a lot of traction on the web, but they weren't quite fully utilizing the value of sound. And we made the site and we built essentially a cleaner version of those sites, but that wasn't really a strong enough need to solve. And I want to say the reason that we found out that it wasn't working out, because we did get a couple thousand downloads. Like I remember spending all that summer, that college summer, just building this keyboard app, and we released it out there, and we started getting like a couple thousand downloads, but there was no retention in it. There was no tracking in it, which to me, like it felt like, man, people did want something like this. They want something to do with sound, but we weren't creating or solving a need that kept people wanting to come back. And that's where we started iterating a little bit more. Another hypothesis I want to say we tested back then was we went into Discord first. And Discord was a newer platform about 3 years ago. It was still pretty big, but the integrations weren't quite there yet for us to really be able to attack it and grow. So we got our bot out and people were able to play these sound clips within the chat, but it still didn't quite solve the need until we hit Twitch really well. And then we use that traction to go back to Discord. And that's where we started to see both of them grow at a pretty good pace. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of iterating, and it wasn't our first thing that out.
So when you look at Twitch, how do you like what was the first kind of inkling or signal that you were like, all right, this is kind of working, we think this might have leg, like, and what do you think is it about Twitch that's better or different or whatever from like a Discord, for example, for in relation to your business?
The thing that I like more about Twitch, and maybe this wasn't true, like maybe we could have tried harder to really find our customer, but with Twitch, it was just so easy and like so clear to know who we were exactly targeting. As in these creators that were the clear target, streamers on Twitch. And before it just felt like, oh, anyone who used a voice chat could maybe use Blurp. But that was just so broad that we couldn't really quite paint a specific user story or really find them from that. So that's why I really like Twitch, because it really gave us a clear focus of, oh, a streamer wants to use a soundbite on their stream. How do we make that the best possible experience ever? And then build it from there. And that was my favorite reason for that. As for how we started seeing success from the platform, it was really from our first, dozen conversations. We released this app with the idea of, oh, we just want this Giphy-like app to plug into a stream for people to start using it. That was our MVP. We threw it out there, and although it was like super buggy, it broke sometimes. There was just some streamers that kept telling us how much they loved it. And then the more we hopped on to the streams, we saw the moments that these streamers were having because they were able to share the right soundbite at the right time. And I think it was those inklings of seeing those moments that started us to really see that, oh, that's the value we're chasing. And it's cool to relate that to at the very beginning of when we started this too, because we did see that when we first played around with our first soundboard apps, when we weren't even involved in Twitch and Discord. It was when like we played the right sound and people were just out of their screen and laughing, we saw that same moment on Twitch, and that's where we're like, okay, this is the same value there. We just need to really focus in on it, and that's going to help us grow the platform so that we can hit everywhere else.
So is this company bootstrapped or do you have funding?
We had funding as of a year ago, but the first 3.5 years it was bootstrap.
And what has the past year looked like for you? I mean, the whole world has been mired in the muck here. We're now in June, going into July of 2021. The world is opening up. Does it have an effect on your business? I imagine people still like gaming and are playing more games more than ever now, right?
Yeah, the pandemic's been an interesting time for us because it really helped us buckle down and increase focus, and more streamers. Actually, I don't know the exact stats of what's happened on Twitch, but I know their streamer base has just grown immensely over the past year. And just us from a revenue standpoint, like we've increased, I want to say 10x from just a year ago. And part of that's just the funding and having the infrastructure to keep going. But just organically, we're seeing probably the best growth that we've seen since forever. So overall,
And
the
is that
pandemic's been good for us.
And is that organic growth? Like, is it just because more people are gaming, the product is great, and folks are just happy to use it? Is that kind of like the focus there?
Yeah, it's definitely been a mix of all those. We see that more and more people are gaming, more and more people are spending time doing remote communication, which is a place that we actually thrive in. Because if you think back, 2 years ago, sound wasn't very, I guess people weren't used to having sounds in a lot of places.
It was
But
not critical. It wasn't even a medium. Like, people really didn't think of sound as a medium until, like, I mean, you have podcasts certainly, but connects with video, and that sounds like radio. But like sound as a channel is totally new. And I think, I mean, do you think like Clubhouse like had a big effect on having people be able to like isolate sound as a channel?
I think Clubhouse is a good example of the result that came from more and more Alexas being in people's homes, more and more AirPods being in people's homes, and remote communication just being a more prevalent thing.
Mhm.
I see that at least with how I work, when I'm working, at home alone, I always have music playing or I always have a podcast in the background. It's just so much easier to have that and not be a distraction. So
Yeah.
I think these habits have been formed from it. I do think Clubhouse building experience where it's just so audio focused and people share their stories is definitely increasing it and has ridden the wave as well.
What does what are you focusing on for the remainder of this year and going into 2022? Like, what areas of growth? Is it like triple down on Twitch? Is it exposing new types of content creators to this?
It's a mix of both. So we have our model down on Twitch, as in we're feeling pretty good about Twitch being at a place where it is running and it essentially we call it product market fit, where it has everything we need to keep filling the platform. We want to keep expanding the places where people can share sound bites. So our focus is still in gaming, as in with what we've seen with Discord is that gamers just have such a big need to trigger these sound bites, and we haven't quite hit the mark on making it extremely easy for them to pull their favorite content out yet. And from there, we see us unlocking different channels after we really captured gaming as a bigger market. So
Wow.
yeah, so the focus is polish up streaming, tighten that up a little bit, and then let's take gaming where we're already playing pretty well in, take the same user base that's already going to support us in gaming and expand that. And then from there, we see us expanding into other bigger markets from that.
Do you imagine that this is going to stick squarely with the like under 35 or under 25 crowd, or do you see the use case for Blurp increasing or becoming ubiquitous for older audiences?
I see us really feeling this from that age group. Like a lot of people, especially on TikTok, a lot of our sounds right now are trending because of these Gen Z platforms and the content that really trends from it. But yeah, as sounds so universal, right? It's a language that an explosion means the same thing to anyone across the world. I don't think that is limited to any age group. And if we can really build that symbolic communication where people can really just understand each other, bring in this context in a way that connects them, I see like because of that value we provide, it can expand to people who are older too.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Aaron, how can people find you? Tell us the website. Tell us more about how where people can use Blurp.
Yeah, so people can use Blurp in places like Twitch, Discord. You can go to our website, blurp.com, and just check out our integrations there. If you are into gaming, we're launching some neat products in the future, and we have a beta list going that's going to start uh, letting people be into that if you're into that. And then, yeah, the biggest support we can have right now is just checking out the site and following our story.
Are there any Twitch streamers that are particularly heavy users that you can call out that people can follow to see it in action?
Yeah, there's been a lot of Twitch streamers that we've appreciated that have followed us on our story and we followed them. I want to give out a shout out to Katie Benz. Her stream is a huge user of Blurp, and she's been able to see that really transform her community. Game Society Pimps is another one, and Mediocre Films actually is a very funny guy. He has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, but just to see the type of content and he produces, it's really fun.
Awesome. Aaron Shu, founder and CEO of Blurp, thanks for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rob.